In the quest to cover every Goosebumps book in chronological order, which I am hereby abandoning right after this video because there are way too many books in chronological order, we finally reached the first side series, Tales to Give You Goosebumps. This is your every so often in a video reminder to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoy my content. The support keeps me going. Thank you. First is the original cover. It has a ghost appearing from a cliffside mansion that bears a striking resemblance to Curly, the Goosebumps mascot who's been dropped for Slappy ever since. He still shows up, but his run as the face of collected editions and merchandise is over. This earliest appearance of him is completely different, as he's a ghost with long hair opposed to a buzz-cut skeleton, then a mohawk skeleton, you get it. Originally, this printing of the book came with the booklight. Nowadays, finding an intact copy with both is pretty expensive, so I don't have it. It must have been pretty expensive and limited back then too, because in just 1997, they reprinted the book again by itself. The cover has an entirely new look that sort of signifies the more circular, futuristic feel the books took towards late 97. Other than that, there's not much else to say. So the last print I have for you is the 2004 30 Tales to Give You Goosebumps. This collects the first 3 Tales books, clearly, in a nice hardcover. If you want to read most of these yourself, I suggest grabbing one of these from a thrift store or something. So the deal with Tales to Give You Goosebumps is that they're a set of 10 short stories. I'll make sure to label each one, because they're only about 15 pages each, making the summaries quite short. Even better, some of these stories were made into episodes. For the ones that are, I'll cover them right after the story of the same name. So let's get started. The House of No Return is about a house. A haunted house. Think of Monster House, Dead House. Same decrepit old thing. The main characters are the Danger Club, a group of kids who love to prank other kids by forcing them to go into the house as an initiation to join them. To join, you have to stay inside the house by yourself for an hour. Tonight's victim is Doug, and after only 10 minutes, he comes running out of the house yelling about something touching his face. He's so scared he just runs straight forward without stopping. Time to find a new one. The next target is Chris Wakely, a kid who moved here in the summer and just started school this year. They even say that he's a pretty nice guy, if a little shy, so it's not even like they target jerks. The Danger Club is just full of a-holes. Robbie, the main kid in this story, not really important, walks up to Chris one day and asks if he wants to join. It's not really going well. He keeps going on about how he's not brave and he's always been afraid of this stuff. The rest of the club shows up to help peer pressuring. Chris asks if the other guys did this too, but get this. Apparently, since these guys are the founding members of the Danger Club, they never went to the house before. They already know they like danger, so they just don't do anything dangerous. What Chris didn't notice was the group actually walking him right towards the house itself. The pressure starts to build, but when they say they won't be coming in with him, Chris decides he should head home. A few nights later, the club holds a meeting. There's only 3 of them, so it's pretty boring, and they're running out of potential victims. I mean, members. Halloween's coming up, so they get to talking about costumes, then back to the club. Chris would just be the perfect member. Maybe they could help him be brave. They call him out later under the guise of going trick-or-treat together. Robbie has a little bit of regret for doing something so mean, but when he gets done and joins the club, he'll get over it easily. Chris notices they're approaching the house and starts to leave, but the kids grab him and drag him there. He begs for them to go in with him because he can't be alone, but nah. At least the group keeps their promise to wait outside, and Chris actually manages to stay for the entire hour. A miracle. Except, 30 more minutes pass. Something's up. The so-called Danger Club starts to get cold feet. They all shakily move towards the door, opening it to call out for Chris. No answer. They take a few steps in and a pale light emerges from the steps in the shape of a cloud. It forms 2 transparent figures, a man and a woman with glowing red eyes. The group asks about Chris and they say he left an hour ago. They weren't going to let him leave, but he made a deal. He said if he got to leave, 3 kids would take his place. And look at that. He was telling the truth. You're all going to be here forever. Not too bad for the first story. It's not often you get a set of Goosebumps characters you wish something bad would happen to, but this comeuppance certainly felt good in the end. Maybe a group of children shouldn't be sentenced to death, but they were unknowingly attempting to do the same to the other kids, so... Our first story is also the first one to have a TV episode, so let's see it. With a story about 10 times shorter than a usual book, the episode's bound to be able to adapt everything, right? It begins with the Danger Club, Danger Incorporated, chilling outside the house waiting for their victim to leave. There's still 48 minutes to go, and their victim, Doug, is someone they don't even like, so they hope he quits soon. Just like the book, he gets so freaked out that he runs right out the door and sprints into the woods. The so-called Danger Incorporated are really a bunch of posing pussycats. This kid's $5 blows inside the house and he runs away. Chris Wakely gets a character introduction, and I can't tell if this is ironically funny or just funny.
Will you make me a cheeseburger when I get back?
Okay.
With bacon?
Always making deals.
Come on, Mom, with bacon.
He passes by Danger Incorporated, and even though he says he's a scaredy cat baby, he seems pretty sarcastic and not scared at all. They give the house some backstory. A freshly built house for a young, beautiful couple to make a family in. Their child fell through a poorly constructed part of the house and died. Then the couple went mad, only to be found dead by the police and removed. Despite being shut down, kids have apparently been going missing. The episode plays out exactly like the story for a while. Chris refuses because the other kids won't go in, the kids have a boring meeting, they call Chris to hang out at the mall. That's not trick-or-treating. I don't know if they told Chris's actor to just be nonchalant as hell, but the scenes where he just talks about mundane shit with his mom are so funny.
Yeah, they're alright. I don't think they're too smart, but they're okay.
Danger Incorporated tricks Chris, drags him inside. He's not really too concerned with yelling for help, though.
Help me!
They have to hold the door shut for about 5 minutes as Chris tries to leave, but he settles down soon. He sits in a chair until... Okay, come on now. It's incredible that the story was so short, we actually need to pad out the runtime by getting Chris's perspective inside. He sees a ghostly broom sweeping up a broken face, then a... Beware the house of no return. Then a hammer nailing a 2x4. The ghost couple keeps talking about how they're coming. They're here! Looks like real nighttime out here, doesn't it? The time runs out and the entire group has to break into the house. The door was boarded up for some reason. Ooh. They find all the moved things during Chris's stay, thinking maybe he's playing a trick on them now. But now the door's boarded up again. The ghost couple talks about coming again, and when they finish, here they are. They explain the deal just like the story. A 3-for-1 trade. Worth. That episode was actually a little funny. I don't know the way to put it, it just had a little extra to it. Like how most of the Goosebumps books started feeling goofier as they went on, it seems the show let go of actually trying to be scary and started being a bit campier. Not bad. The ghost couple actually trying to trap kids as part of their psycho-tragic backstory was pretty nice, and Chris was cool. That's my guy right there. This story is called Teacher's Pet, and it's all about snakes. Becca and Benji are friends in a similar way to Brooke and Zeke from Phantom of the Auditorium. A girl and a guy being best friends? So weird. It's the start of the 6th grade school year and both kids are excited to have homeroom with Mrs. Wenger, the coolest teacher ever. But when they get there, there is no Mrs. Wenger. A new teacher has taken her place, Mr. Blankenship. A tall, skinny man in a turtleneck, and the room is boring as hell too. Except for a few things. Terrariums. About 5 or 6 of them around the room. Becca goes up to one and gets jump scared by her own realization that these are all snake enclosures. She's deathly afraid of snakes, and so is Benji, though he likes to act tougher than he is. Mr. Blankenship sees that she's met one of his little pals, and mentions they'll be studying snakes all year long. I don't know if you can change curriculum like that, but sure, sounds fun. He grabs a mouse and lowers it into the cage. Becca watches in horror as the snake eats the mouse whole. Time goes by and they try to enjoy class, but not much. Every subject being taught revolves around snakes, science, snake eggs, history, snake mythology, geometry, snakeskin patterns. Not only that, but more enclosures keep getting added to the room, and there's even a huge empty one behind the teacher's desk. Becca starts to think if they ever get free, they'll attack the first human they ever see. She even has a nightmare at night about a bunch of snakes coming out of her backpack to attack her. In the next class, a girl bumps into a cage, sending a mouse scurrying across the floor. It escapes out the window and Mr. Blankenship is pissed. He sentences the whole class to a 3-page essay on the feeding habits of the eastern diamondback rattlesnake tonight. Becca whispers over to Benji that this guy's a damn psycho, but he hears it. 10 pages for you, and you gotta clean the cages for 2 weeks. Unbelievable. But this gives Becca an idea. Operation Mouse Rescue. On Thursday night when their parents aren't home, they'll sneak into school. Again, what's with all these 90s schools leaving the doors unlocked? Is that common? They'll release all the mice, and I guess it'll piss off Mr. Blankenship the next morning. They make it there with no problems, sneaking into the classroom and noticing all the scary snakes staring towards them in the dark. The fear causes Becca to stumble into a chair, then fall into a table. A cage falls off and shatters onto the floor. She starts to panic and knocks over another one. Benji's utterly confused on what the hell's going on, but they stop to see that giant cage behind the desk isn't empty anymore. A big-ass cobra rises up from it. Glowing eyes, thick tongue, 6 feet tall. it starts to transform into Mr. Blankenship? The kids run for their lives until they get home. What now? The next day, everything seems fine, actually, until the final bell. Teach asks them both to stay after, and he blocks the doorway. He makes them a deal. He won't tell anyone about them breaking in, and he won't hurt them as long as he doesn't expose his secret. Oh, and one more thing. Every afternoon, they have to bring in a mouse to feed him. Here you go, Mr. Blankenship. Open wide. That is just nasty. Compared to the first one, this ending is mostly undeserved. Some of these kids need to go to the school faculty and ask for a new teacher. An entire curriculum of snake studies surrounded by cages? Annoying at the very best. And now these poor kids have to shove a mouse down this old guy's throat every day. Again, just nasty. This one also has an episode though, so let's see if the effects match up to the imagery. This one starts out way different to the story. The class is on a wilderness trip and Becca loses her locket somewhere. Some snarling creature makes a noise and wow, what a bright necklace. Before she can snatch it though, a horrifying creature shakes the bushes. But oh, it's just a little bunny. What the hell is that? Bunny with a snake face. Whoa! This episode about to be way better. Teach introduces them to Mr. Blankenship, who runs the nature center. You might remember this actor as Spidey from Say Cheese and Die. Just pointing that out, I guess. He's teaching a lesson on adaptability, and he's got what else but a snake for an example. He also brings out a mouse for the snake to eat, and very slowly, they wait for it to eat. And it happens off screen. Kids gotta choose pairs and find examples of the food chain at work. They find a totally naturally filmed owl and some worms. Even better though, an abandoned shack off the designated path. Let's just say my jaw dropped after seeing this effect. With what emotion? You can be the judge. The shack seems to be the perfect place for genetic research, and Becca accidentally breaks one of these test tubes holding a Russian egg homunculus. They find some snakeskin in a closet too. Meanwhile, some crazy beast is zooming through the woods. Oh, also, there's a snake here. Am I supposed to believe this python was the thing moving at supersonic speed outside? Well, what the hell is it doing now, being all slow and normal? Becca lets a mouse out as a distraction, and they both run. The supersonic snake follows, but stops chasing once they bump into these annoying girls from class. At night, Becca opens her eyes to see a tarantula. Oh! Then the snake. Oh! Teach comes over to say it was all a nightmare, and asks if this bunny will help. But oh! It's the snake bunny! A nightmare within a nightmare. Everything's fine. Except for those really loud, rumbly snake sounds in the forest. She wakes Benji up to go sneak into the gene splicing lab again. Sounds like there's some inhumane experiments happening. Mr. Blankenship couches them, and actually just admits he's been working on crossbreeding for the sake of biodiversity? Not really. He just wants to make a new apex predator. And that's his most recent experiment. A snake mixed with the brains of a human. It's him. How he manages to do that, I don't know. But I guess that explains why he can transform back and forth instead of being an actual hybrid. Becca grabs some fly amino acids and splashes it onto Mr. Snakenship, which just instantly kills him? Sure, why not? The dead body is actually just molted skin, and it sounds like these amino acids immediately turned him into a snake-fly hybrid. One of the annoying girls has a snakeskin rash and,
You got that wrong.
Now I know this may be unfortunate timing, but the episode does immediately follow that scene with in loving memory of Michelle Rissy, the girl who played Becca. She died of meningitis before this episode aired. So rest in peace, Michelle, and let's make another dramatic tone shift back to the episode. This was definitely better than the story. The idea of it being a school wilderness trip with a crossbreeding scientist is way cooler than just some snake-obsessed teacher who actually is a shape-shifting snake. The actors were all fine, seeing the animals was cool, seeing the fly with a man's warped head maybe not so much, but really just solid all around. Next up is strained peas. Also, if you're not watching this video as background noise, you may see the gameplay in the background and wonder what the hell I'm playing. Don't worry about it. The story begins with Nicholas at home with his babysitter because mom and dad are at the hospital. He anxiously awaits for them to bring his new baby sister home and reads his Iron Man comic while he waits. Within it, an evil villain named Dr. Destro is exposed by the birthmark on his face, the mark of evil. The car rolls up and Nicholas goes outside to see his sister. He thinks she's a pretty ugly baby, but not only that, right above her cheek, it's the mark of evil. He starts trying to compare it to his comic book and shows his parents, but they don't care. Extended family comes over later and fawns over the baby, her name's Hannah by the way, Meanwhile, Nick still thinks that she's a nasty thing. Mom pressures him to hold her for a moment, and as he does this, he thinks, you know what? I've been a tad harsh. Then she pukes all over him. Oh, she must have done that on purpose. That night, a howling screech wakes Nick up. It's Hannah screaming in the hallway, Mom trying to console her. This goes on for a while. A few months pass. She learns to crawl early. In Nick's mind, she wants to get rid of him to become an only child. One morning, she eats his math homework, and he gets after-school detention for lying about it. Another day, the parents' pristine white bedroom is spattered with paints from Nick's paint set. Somehow, Hannah got it all out of his room and splashed it everywhere, but Dad doesn't believe him. Next day, the kitchen's covered in green ooze. Mom yells, "Strained peas all over the kitchen?" She tells Nick to help her clean it up, but she made the mess. He looks over to Hannah and sees her eyes change color. Mom tries to explain to him this real phenomenon that a baby's eyes can change from blue to brown, but Nick starts shaking her, saying that she's brainwashed. And yet, the worst is still to come. One day, Nick is watching TV until he hears a light scraping sound. Here she comes. He turns around. Hannah's crawling towards him, with scissors in her hands. He screams about her trying to kill him, and Mom shows up to yell at him for letting Hannah carry around such a sharp object. He doesn't know why she won't believe him, but then they get a phone call. It's the hospital. It seems Hannah isn't even their baby. They were switched at birth. Mom and Dad are sad, but Nick knows they'll all be happier when their real baby comes home. They all go to the hospital together and switch with Hannah's mother. She has the mark of evil too, so probably just a regular birthmark. Their new original daughter is named Grace. She's sweet, well-mannered, perfect. At night, Nick sneaks in to tickle her. She giggles, but not for long. "If you tickle me again, kid, I'll rip your arm off." Nick screams his head off and runs away. "I'll get rid of you, creep. Just wait till I can walk." So, this story really hinges on how much you hate babies. The fact that Nick really thought Hannah would slowly crawl over and stab him is insane. Nothing Hannah did was really that outlandish. The scariest thing is the punishments Nick got for the things he didn't do. Maybe if he kept his homework and paint secure, it wouldn't go everywhere. Then at the end, the real baby turns out to be this evil boss baby-ass character. I suppose you could imagine this kid as something like Chucky, but dude, it's a baby. You are not gonna let your ass get kicked by a baby. But the makers of the TV show thought this would be a good episode as well, so let's see it. Let me preface this by saying it has the lowest rating of any episode on IMDb. But how could this be? So you can tell a change right off the bat. Instead of a babysitter, Nick has a girl space friend named Sam. Also, the daughter is immediately named Grace, which is the real baby's name from the book. Don't get confused. She also growls at him going up the stairs. Whoa. At night, Nick can't go to sleep as expected. He goes to check the baby, who has a dirty diaper, and pukes pure liquid all over his shirt. Standard fare. Sam's entire role in this show is to constantly berate Nick with how all of his attention will be going to the baby from now on, and he'll be old news. Honestly, Sam is a dick. Grace uses her letter blocks to spell out "only me," and now Sam tries to act like he's the crazy one. Next night, Grace spills some stuff on the floor and watches drag racing and car crashes on the TV. She even speaks.
Your history, big brother.
So something's definitely up. Unlike the book, the baby's evil right from the start, but is still named Grace like the end. This bitch Sam just keeps leaving, and Nick rage baits the baby into talking into a recorder. Shit you not, this next scene had me laughing out loud. What is going on? The kid playing Nick isn't too bad at acting though. His recording trick falls flat when he plays it back, and
That thing is not our baby.
the baby's got acid spit that eats through paper and bites Nick's finger without having any teeth. Mom and Dad decide to kick Nick out of the house for a while until they get that fateful phone call, one prompted by Nick himself. The parents have to go to the hospital to check the DNA themselves, and Nick's stuck babysitting, well, at least with some help from Sam. But not for long. Grace ate the CD and she leaves again. As soon as she leaves, Grace cuts the breaker and starts breaking everything. It's full-on survival horror at this point, boy versus baby. Grace eats his pet mouse and runs away. I don't even know what the hell's going on anymore. She's covered in lipstick or something and wrote "only me" on the mirror. The mouse is alive though. The parents show up to admit the baby mistake, and the new baby is immediately named Chloe, and the actual parents are monsters. Everything's happily ever at...
Put that baby talk and give me some food. None of that mushy junk.
Oh my god, this episode, man. It's one I've never seen before, and luckily it's so bad it's good. Seriously, get some friends with you for this one. The kid playing Nick isn't even that bad, but the lip effects and everything else, oh man. The concept, it just kills the whole thing. In both the book and the episode, despite their differences, you gotta realize no one is gonna be scared of a baby. It's a baby! Sure, this one has acid spit and the strength of a 12-year-old, but still, punt that thing into next week. This is Strangers in the Woods. Lucy's getting sent to her great aunt Abigail's house over the summer in Fairview. Fairview's the most boring place ever. A farm town with almost nothing in it. Why? Well, Mom and Dad are taking a trip to Asia, and I guess she can't come. She at least gets to bring her dog Mutster, but he's acting weird. He's usually full of energy and docile, but now he's really shy and barking like mad. When Abigail comes out, he goes even crazier. Interesting. The parents leave and Grant Abigail here cheers her up with some peanut butter cookies. She always makes them perfectly, but today, something's off. Weird. She takes a few to go and says she'll be taking Mutster for a walk. Abigail warns her to stay out of the woods, but she never said that when they visited before. Weird. Lucy has a typical restless night and looks out the window to see 6 purple lights forming a circle. They lower over the woods and then disappear. The next morning she asks Abigail, but she's always changing the subject. The eggs taste different in the morning. Abigail's driving out to the store as erratic and, pardon my French, batshit insane. She nearly clips some mailboxes, runs red lights. Something's definitely off around here. A few nights pass and those strange alien lights show up every time. They remind Lucy of Attack of the Pod People. Have body snatchers taken over Abigail just like the movies? Her first thought is to call the police. Like that's gonna work. But she sees Abigail's already there. She has her back to Lucy, telling someone that Lucy won't know anything till it's all over tomorrow night. Lucy tries to run, but the floor creaks. Abigail spins around, and her face is glowing green. She runs away with no good excuse for being there, only knowing she's gotta get the hell out. She sneaks outside and wakes Mutster up. She's gonna go into the woods and find the aliens so she can describe them to the police. A poor plan, I know. But Lucy acknowledges she isn't thinking straight at the moment either. She hears people in the distance, and suddenly a light washes over her. Hands tug at her. She yells out, "You can't take over my brain!" Turns out it's just some film director and his crew. They're filming a movie and they'll be done tomorrow. A lady in the crew has a dog whistle to get the dogs on set barking. Oh! Lucy runs back to the house to apologize to Abigail, mentioning all the horrible stuff she noticed. Green skin? You mean my mint julep facial mask? Oh! Also, let me confess, I lost my glasses. That's why I can't drive or cook so well. Oh! At night, Lucy grabs another blanket from the closet, and Abigail's glasses fall out. She excitedly takes them over to her room, which is cracked open, and then she sees it. 4 slimy tentacles, glowing green skin, 3 sets of black lips, and a long blue tongue. You found my glasses. Thanks, Lucy. A mostly predictable ending. If Lucy hadn't mentioned aliens beforehand, it would have been easy for there to be actual aliens chilling in the forest. Instead, nearly everything's explained, but Abigail is still an alien, as you'd expect. She's probably not even malicious either. Maybe she's been an alien all the time, and they'll live happily ever after. Good Friends is one of the shortest in the book. It's about Jordan and his best friend Dylan. Dylan always does his homework as soon as he gets home, and Jordan's the troublemaker who pressures Dylan to push off his responsibilities. They take a bike ride together and stop back at Dylan's house to shoot some hoops. Dylan's always worried about his older brother Richard, the man of the house who will totally pound Dylan if he doesn't follow the rules. Jordan doesn't give a damn though. Another player appears, Jordan's little sister Ashley that they call the Pest. She just shows up and starts playing with Barbies on the sidewalk. Her and her imaginary friend Jacqueline love to talk shit about the boys together. The teasing pisses off Jordan enough that he heaves a basketball right towards where Jacqueline is standing. Ashley freaks out, and Jordan pretends to grab Jacqueline and shake her around. Both boys laugh as Ashley runs away until a voice yells at them from above. It's Richard, who also likes talking shit about the boys, before shutting the window again. Funny enough, Jordan asks why Dylan puts up with this, to which he says, because he can beat me up. An interesting thing to say, considering he's the big brother bullying his little sister all the time, yet he doesn't realize it. Later, Jordan has an idea to torture his little sister a bit more. She really hates Richard's pet tarantulas, so what if they somehow got loose? He pressures Dylan into helping him pull off this hilarious idea, which goes off without a hitch, until they make it to the driveway. Dylan! Richard yells at Dylan. I know what you're doing. Forget about Jordan and Ashley, okay? Imaginary friends are for babies. Wow. This one actually surprised me. I really expected Jacqueline to be the typical paranormal activity demon imaginary friend type, but not this. This actually has, dare I say for a kid's book, some depth. Those comparisons of Jordan bullying Ashley make sense when they're all in just Dylan's mind, internalizing the bullying he got from Richard. It's interesting to have his imaginary friends be aspects of himself he can't express. Pleasantly surprised by this one, but no episode. Let's keep moving. How I won my bat is, well, all about how Michael Burns won his bat. It all started at practice one day. Apparently Michael's the best batter around, but lately he's been striking out like crazy. It's the day before a final game and Michael just can't seem to hit shit. Coach tells him to just rest up for tomorrow, but he better shape up. This puts him in a pretty poor mood, and he quickly gets cleaned up to leave before practice is over. At the bike rack, Michael bumps into this guy who looks like Danny DeVito's penguin. "You need a lighter bat," he says. He holds up a shining black wooden bat, definitely used. It's very light and very powerful. He pulls out a business card. Mr. Smith, Director, Linfield Sports Museum. So Mike wonders, is he trying to sell me this thing? But no, he just wants to give it to him. But he has to make a promise. Right after the game tomorrow, he has to return the bat to the museum. Is he really that desperate? Yes. He takes it gladly. The next day comes and Mike and his teammates psych each other up. The game starts and Mike is up second. Suddenly the bat really does feel lighter. A weird tingle spreads through his body. Strike one. Strike two. But the third hit is a home run. Next inning, another home run. 2 innings more. 2 more. He breaks the state record with 9 home runs in just one game. Everybody cheers and local camera crews take his photo. In this moment of pure bliss, he almost forgets about his promise to return the bat. But as you might expect, there's no way he could return it. It's so powerful. He at least tries to go about this the best way possible. He'll go to the museum, but he's going to tell Mr. Smith he's got to keep it. The museum is an ugly building in the middle of nowhere. The inside is filled with scarily realistic displays of athletes in the middle of plays. Curiously enough, the baseball display doesn't have any figure yet. Mr. Smith appears and Mike says he's got to keep the bat. He'll do anything. He says, "Sure, bro. You know what? Let me just see you swing, man. Just really go at it." And so he does. But a flashing light freezes him in place, and he's been here ever since. Frozen, staring out at the wall, he sees people come and go from the museum. But at least he's happy. He gets to keep the bat forever. Unfortunately, this one's about as predictable as you can get. He doesn't want to let go of the super powerful artifact, and once you saw the lifelike statues of child athletes, you knew how it was going to end. Weird that he's happy to be stuck like that forever, though. This story begins with some really annoying children. Willa's a girl who collects a bunch of random stuff, and Gina's her slightly younger sister who doesn't have anything. Right now, Willa is begging her mom for a new teddy bear at the store. Gina complains that Willa always gets everything, and she wants a CD player. But Mom says a CD player is a lot more expensive than a teddy bear, so Willa gets what she wants. His name is Mr. Teddy. At home, Willa shows Mr. Teddy around the place. Her porcelain egg collection, her rock star posters, her dolls. Autistic and spoiled, just like me. Anyway, she kisses Old Bear and moves him over. She's been sleeping with Old Bear since she was a kid, but out with the old and in with the Mr. Teddy, as they say. Gina shows up to laugh at Willa for talking to her stuffed animals and gets mad because, as we know, Willa gets anything she wants. At night, Willa always feels like Mr. Teddy's watching her, and in the morning, he's gone. Willa checks all over the bed but finds him sitting on the windowsill. How did that happen? She asks Gina if she did it, which she refuses, and I'm getting real living dummy vibes already. At night again, Willa makes sure she has Teddy wrapped around her arms, and when she wakes up, gone again. Now he's on the porcelain egg dresser, with broken eggs all over the floor. Okay, so are we just doing Light of the Living Dummy again, but with a teddy bear? After school, Willa paces back and forth, waiting for Gina to come back from choir, and then she lays into her. She acts like she has nothing to do with it, and warns Willa to leave her alone. Another night, this time Willa completely pins Mr. Teddy down. In the morning, gone again, having pulled out all of her drawers. She throws Mr. Teddy on the bed and goes downstairs to yell at Gina. You know, Living Dummy number 1, it's all the same back and forth. Tonight, Willa pushes her dresser in front of the door. There is no way Gina can get in now. When she wakes up, though, the dresser's in the middle of the room and everything is destroyed. Her stuffed animals, her posters, her dolls, all over the room. She runs downstairs to tell Mom that Gina did it, but that's impossible. Gina was at a sleepover. Willa starts to lose it. She tears Mr. Teddy to shreds and brings out Old Bear to hug him, the only thing she has left. She doesn't see Old Bear start to smile. Maybe you've learned your lesson. You could have probably predicted this one too. It's nearly the exact same as Living Dummy, but thankfully with a different ending than Aru's sister. This bear is really damn strong, though. When Willa gets older and tries to get rid of him, good luck. Click is a story about a magical TV remote, and somehow the Adam Sandler movie had nothing to do with this. So let's see. Seth Gold is your typical goose boy whose favorite hobby is channel surfing. He likes the power of being able to switch the channel whenever something boring is on. He wonders how people lived in the days when you had to actually walk to the TV to change the channel. That shouldn't be hard, because even I had to do that in the 2000s. Dad comes home with a package one day, a big box that just says Universal Remote on it. It's so high-tech, it can work the TV, the VCR, and the CD player all in just one remote. Took a few people back in time there, huh? This thing's so powerful it takes AA batteries, and Seth just has to use it. Upstairs he messes with the thing for about an hour, just putting random stuff on the TV, until his sister Megan comes in. She wants to watch a tape, but Seth tells her to beat it. Arguing ensues, and then Megan grabs the remote and flings it back. It crashes into the wall and stops working. Megan shrinks away and leaves, and Seth pries the thing open to try and fix it, which just works. His mom comes in yelling at him about watching TV when there's chores to be done. He presses the mute button as a joke, but it actually works. Wow! His dog comes in and he presses slow motion, which makes Sparky scratch himself in slow-mo. The power already getting to his head, he uses the rewind function to eat 4 entire bowls of pudding at dinner. At school, he mutes the alarms, freezes time to cheat on his pop quiz. Basically every function on a remote you can think of, he uses it during the school day. At lunch, though, things get scary. He mutes the lunch lady to stop her from complaining, but then it doesn't work when he tries to unmute her. Then he loses the remote, and a big bully points it at him. He snatches it back and freeze frames him. Then a girl cries out confused why he's frozen. People start to panic. The principal comes in and Seth freezes her, too. The whole lunchroom starts surrounding Seth. He tries to unfreeze her, but it doesn't work. Everybody starts chasing after him. He presses every button, but nothing's working. His last resort is the off button, and the world goes black. An empty void of nothingness around him, except for the blinking light on top of the remote in his hand. The words beneath it? Battery dead. Well, that's a bleak ending. Not as heartstring tearing as the Adam Sandler film, but actually more horrific. This is one of the worst outcomes I think a goose child has ever had. But there is an episode for this one, the last of this book. Will it be just as scary? The episode starts with a funky rock song, and Seth is played by a kid we'll be seeing again in Attack of the Mutant. Though I think he's already gotten through puberty at this point.
I'm tired of Mom and everyone else telling me what to do all the time.
He's got the remote right off the bat, and it's working just as expected. Until a video cuts in from the electronic company thanking him for his purchase. High tech! Macon comes in and starts tap dancing just to be annoying, and the dog starts barking too. He actually manages to freeze frame them. The tech company ad pops up again to give him a free warning on how it's not a toy. I'm sure that advice will be followed. He unfreezes them, and in his room he can actually adjust the color balance on his fish. Cool. He starts doing what you'd expect. Volume, rewind, fast forward. A phone calls the house, another warning from the company. It's weird, but at least it gives an explanation to why the limitations of Seth's rampant use even exist in the first place. Seth tries to explain the remote to a friend at school, which he doesn't believe, until Seth changes the channel on the school bully, shifting his entire personality, and gives him some nausea. The tech company keeps calling, emailing, even though Seth can't respond. This email tells Seth not to let it control him, but it immediately does, because at school, he cheats on his quiz despite his best friend Kevin telling him how wrong this is. At night, he actually gets a warning letter from the company that if he keeps being a dick, he'll get punished. His sister nearly breaks the remote like the book, and he freezes her and his parents, but can't unfreeze them. Uh-oh. He brings Kevin over, the brains, who says, "Bro, just call the company." Crazy there could be tons of these remotes just floating around. The company calls him instead, giving a shady address to a shady building, which doesn't even open. Seth's last resort is to crack the thing open, but the company calls again to say never to open it up. It's dangerous. He moves the rattling part onto this part and it just fits. It doesn't work at first, but he gives it a shake and everything's fine. Kevin correctly advises Seth to throw the thing away, but you knew he wasn't gonna let something like this go. Kevin catches him with the remote at school, leading to a fight that...
Try that again. You'll really be sorry.
What the hell? Are we even watching Goosebumps anymore? The company calls at school to give Seth one last chance. Kevin slowly approaches Seth, almost as powerful as Obi-Wan versus Anakin, and Seth hits the power button. He's put into the void, at least with a spotlight, And with the battery low, Tony the spokesperson shows up to get a last bit of technical jargon in before leaving Seth to rot. I don't know what they were smoking during Season 3 of Goosebumps, but these episodes, man, it was pretty standard throughout, though I like the inclusion of a spokesperson to constantly warn Seth, even if he does the cliche, ignore all warnings till too late thing. Kevin's a really nice friend, and I feel bad for him. The Mexican standoff near the end was hilarious too. Who the hell pitched that part? But no, the ending's not as scary as the story. He gets a light. Tamara is fed up with her little brother Neil breaking all of her dolls. It's the third one now, and he doesn't even say he's sorry. Today, the family is going to the fairgrounds for an arts and crafts fair. When they get there, there's plenty of beautiful ceramics around, so Tamara has to keep Neil on a tight leash, separate from mom and dad, because he's a hyperactive wild animal child. She isn't really interested in anything here, until she sees a bunch of very realistic looking dolls.
Do you like them?
The oldest woman on Earth comes up to Tamara. She's made every single one, and none are ever the same, completely perfect. The lady dotes on Neil, offering him a cookie. Tamara's distracted looking at the dolls, but she swears she sees the lady touch Neil's head like a blessing. Neil himself, unlike usual, is completely quiet and still. Tamara rips Neil's hand away, telling him to at least thank the lady for the cookie. The kids meet back up with mom and dad and eventually head home, but something's wrong with Neil. Mom does the old hand on the forehead technique and says he has a fever. They help get him into bed, and Mom feels something on the top of his head, which Neil says is dolly jelly. The next day he's got a rash, and his fever's even worse. He's muttering something about not wanting to be a dolly, so this must have something to do with that lady. Tamara zooms off on her bike to the fair, which is just now closing up. She immediately sneaks into the old lady's trailer while she isn't looking, opening several boxes marked dolls. While most are completely blank, one starts changing. The feature starts slowly resembling Neil. Oh no!
Stop her,
a voice whispers, a tiny voice coming from a closet. Dolls from the fair, but now they're moving. They try to touch her, but she freaks out, closing the closet door, grabbing Neil's doll and leaving. The woman blocks her path, but Tamara does the smartest move she can. She says, I'm gonna go to the police with this. So then the lady's like, whoa, okay, come on, hold on, we'll talk. Hell no, I ain't doing that. I saw what you're doing with them dolls. I'm not going near you. This pisses the lady off. She mentions the world having no idea of her ancient arts. She smears some of the goop on her fingers and starts chanting. It freezes Tamara in place, but her determination gives her the strength to break free. She dives forward, snatches the goo jar, and heaves it into a wading pool nearby. The water begins to hiss and change color, a big smoke-filled light show, and then the woman vanishes. She hears what sounds like cheering from the trailer, but no time for that. Gotta check Neil. The doll no longer has his face. A good sign? When she gets home, Neil's back to normal, for better or worse, and happily ever after, until a few weeks later. At night, the parents aren't home and someone knocks on the door, but no one's there. Tamara opens the door and finds a package. Her and Neil open it up and see a doll, one that looks just like the old woman. Oh no, her evil is back. What to do? Then an idea. Hey Neil, bet you can't break this one. Finally, one of these has a happy ending. She conquers the evil witch lady, and when she comes back, an alliance with her annoying-ass brother to kill her all over again. It's fun how Neil being a serial destroyer comes back in a fun way. The old lady using ancient goop magic to turn people into dolls is also a lot more interesting than whatever I would have expected. Not too bad. Last one to go, and one of the shortest in the book. This book is about Helga, a shy goth girl who just transferred to school. Everyone thinks she's a vampire. I mean, come on. Her skin's pale, she wears black lipstick and black clothes, and her name is Helga Nugenstorm. You can't get more vampiric than that. Our protagonist group of 4 here, narrated by Mandy, loves to make up some gossip about her. Apparently she moved into this creepy old house near the woods, and nobody saw any parents when the movers were there. In the lunchroom, Helga walks by, and Maddie tries to invite her over to learn more, but she says, no thank you, I never eat lunch. Okay, so she's a vampire. 3 nights later, the kids all sneak around her house. What else can kids do except spy on their peers? The house is completely dark, so they all sneak up to the place and give a boost to peek through a window. Lo and behold, Helga's right there in the dark, standing in front of a mirror. But hold on, vampires don't have reflections. Maddie tries to look if she does or not, but then Helga turns towards the window. Scatter! Every single night from now on, they stalk her house. They never see any parents, barely anything more than a dim light, and Helga never talks to them at school. One day on a whim, Maddie grabs her hands just to feel something, and they're ice cold. Helga looks at her and says, it's so cold in here, don't you think so, Maddie? Literal chills. Tonight, they decide that if she's a vampire, she has to sleep in a coffin, and they have to see it. Maddie climbs up a tree next to her bedroom and looks in. Helga stares right back at her. Maddie freaks out and nearly falls. By the time she gets down, the other kids are already running towards the front of the house. Helga storms outside and yells at them to stop stalking her. Maddie just finally asks the damn question. Are you a vampire? Yes. Show us your fangs. No, you. So they do. Turns out our main group of 4 were all vampires, and Helga was just joking. They all surround her, and well, she'll be a vampire soon. Okay, kind of the sour spot for the last story. The twist I expected the most from the beginning, a very familiar one. Still doesn't make much sense though. Helga having no parents, no lights, no other clothes, permanently cold? Her attitude can be put up to shyness, but her living conditions? I guess we'll never know. And how the group of 4 vampires are so bad at judging their own kind? I will also never know. So, did any of these 10 terrifying tales tickle your terror bone? Scary babies? Scary teddy bears? Okay, maybe this isn't that scary. That's all for this experimental foray into chronological releases. In 2 weeks, it's back to the original series with Attack of the Mutant.